Welcome to a Tad Better Podcast, a podcast where we talk about things that can make things better. On this episode, I want to talk about the idea of being stuck and unstuck, and I want to talk about motivation behind what you're doing, whether you're truly trying to help someone or whether you're really just trying to help yourself, and the challenges, obviously, that I think that can cause. If you've been listening along so far, you know the other goal of this podcast is to learn more about podcast, both in the equipment and the production and the distribution of podcasts, because we've had a few clients hesitate about taking this leap, and our job is to help them, get unstuck. So we've been exploring equipment and ideas and failures and successes along the way. So a couple of things I've learned from the last episode, and obviously if you're interested, you can go back and listen to every episode, and I talk about what I've learned. I've been using this fancy red microphone, which I really like, but last week it wasn't working. So I don't know if I didn't hit record, which may be the truth, because in already a test of this and already one of the failures of this, I forgot to hit record on my fancy little Zoom recorder here. So I don't know if I didn't record, if I didn't have it plugged in, because I will be honest, I have been testing the limits of my current equipment. And with that said, there's been some patchwork about connections and stuff. So maybe a connection came loose and it wasn't the right connection, but it didn't work. But luckily I had a backup audio source, which that's kind of what I've got going today. I've got 3 audio sources, so that's never a bad idea. And then you might want to check your equipment, because I'm not really sure if I hit play or not. The other thing, which by the way, excuse me, so one of the things I'm doing this week, if you're watching me and not just hearing me, I've got this fancy little podcast microphone that someone let me borrow because I want to see how that sounds versus the cheaper stuff I've been using. But interestingly enough, I've got the cheapest camera I've used so far, and I'm using my original Rebel camera that was on a shelf and has been for years. The other thing is let me be the first to admit, I do not need these kind of over the top headphones that I have. But I felt, one, I hadn't tried it yet, so I wanted to hear what that sounded like. And 2, I just feel like I look cool now. I got my little fancy podcast mic and I've got my little fancy headphones. So I wanted to try that out. And what's the point of doing any of this if you're not having fun? Don't really know what to do with this microphone. If you're watching me, you'll see me adjust it a lot. I also notice now I can't lean on my table because it squeaks. So I'm not really sure what to do with my hands. Maybe that microphone's good because I had something to do with my hands when I was using it. So I think that covers what I've learned so far. If nothing else, just let me say again that doing a podcast and putting it out is not hard. It's not about the equipment. It's not about any of this stuff whatsoever. It's about the idea and being interesting and showing up consistently. One of the things I did learn from last week's episode is I feel like I'm a little long-winded, and I'm going to try to cut that out a little bit today. So I'm going to really just kind of briefly talk about my 2 points that I brought up earlier. And then obviously my hope is that if you want to talk more about them, you'll contact us. I say me because I'm the only one doing this. It's my job to go out and learn about podcasts. It's my partner's job to provide the branding in the space, and the other one, he's the producer, the talent, if you will. So it's been my job to kind of get into the homework of all of this. That, and I have delusions of grandeur that I'm going to start a very cool podcast one day. A little bit about what we do. I think the best way to describe what we do is we're a creative agency. We develop creative solutions for businesses or business solutions for creatives. I would not say, and I guess that quickly ties back into getting unstuck. So many marketing agencies focus on just telling you what to do. They listen briefly about what you're trying to accomplish, and then they tell you how to accomplish that. I think where we differ from that is, one, I like to use the word benevolent. We truly give a crap about about you and about whether you succeed or not just about getting the paycheck. So we're really good at unlocking your idea, developing your idea, getting you unstuck, and developing the full potential of that idea. We're really good at developing your idea. One of the other members of the team talks about evoking your idea, and I really like that, because if you don't, and I talked about this in a previous episode, so I will try really hard not to dwell on the subject, is that, and the other thing I have learned from the other episodes is I talk way too fast, so I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. I talked about developing goals and measures of success and the challenges surrounding those, but the importance of surrounding those. And if who you're working with does not work with you to get you unstuck and to fully develop your idea and your vision, your success will have a chance of working. Don't get me wrong. It'll have a better chance of working if you guys work together and we unstick the idea from your brain, your shelves, your computer, and help get that out there. Because like it or not, all of this is a crapshoot. There are certain elements that you must do: intros, outros, call to actions, funnels, sales funnels, things like that. But there is no absolute rule to what works and what doesn't. And it's a little bit, like it or not, of trial and error. Try the best you can, learn from that. Which is another thing we're really good at, is not just when we develop your measures of success, we learn from even what you might consider a failure. I do think, and obviously it's a personal bias, that one of the reasons we should do what we do is to get you unstuck. And we're really good at the conversation surrounding that. So, if you're feeling stuck, you don't know what to do next, you don't know how to proceed, you don't know what'll work, you don't know, reach out to us. Kind of leads me into the next point. Good thing it does, because otherwise that would have been a really horrible segue. And what would be the point of this podcast is you got to look at not only the motivation behind who you're working with, whether they truly have your best, whether they're truly trying to solve your problem or they're trying to solve a problem of their own. And with that said, you also need to look at that for yourself. Are you truly a person that has identified I've heard it recently referred to as your struggle avatar, like who you're trying to help, what their problem is, and then how you can solve that problem. Everything we do should be framed around that to be successful. You as a business owner, that's what you should be thinking about. And again, we can help get that unstuck from you and challenge your current notion. Because if you say you're trying to solve a problem, but all too often, what a lot of people are trying to do is just be popular or be right or be seen. And that's not solving anybody's problem but your own. And then, marketing agencies or people that say they're in marketing, a lot of times they're just trying to be seen as the best marketer, the hippest people out there, the people. Don't get me wrong. I think that should be part of your goal. Obviously, you should know what you're talking about. But if somehow that is your primary goal, if that's your first goal, I worry about how successful you will be. And also, it goes back to motivations and measures of success. If our thought is that if you don't do well, we didn't do well. So your success comes first. Don't get me wrong. We definitely want to be seen as the best and somebody that's really good at what we do. But if we're doing every project with that in mind, your goal will suffer. And same goes for you dealing with your customers. If your goal is to be popular, you're not really helping you're not helping your clients as much as you, or your audience as much as you sometimes would like to think that you have. So I hope that made sense. And if it didn't, forgive me and reach out to me about that. Because I'm really trying to make this a lot. I want to, part of, like I said, what I've been doing with these podcasts is seeing what works and what doesn't, and what time frame works and what doesn't, and then how to put those out and how to edit them. So, maybe I moved too fast this week, both in how fast I talk and how long I did this. But if you have any questions about any of this, we welcome the discussions. If you have questions about how to get unstuck, setting your goals, setting your measures of success, knowing what all that looks like put together, we would definitely love to talk to you more about that and help you get that out of your head and out to the world. We often say that we're really good at creating the right image and getting that image in front of the right people. So with that said, if you have any questions or comments or want to talk more about it, please reach out to us. If you have any questions about podcasts and the equipment used and, helping getting your podcast journey unstuck, reach out to me as well. I hope that helps somebody, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.